All right. Hope all is well.
Yes, by God's grace.
Right. Let me connect my headpiece. Oh, here it is.
You can have a short word of prayer, yes,
Oh
before.
yeah, sure. And by the way, for the online Bible study series that we're doing, I told Demar that he needs to get you on,
Really?
especially with the prayer aspect of it. You know, because
Oh,
I've been so focusing on getting the students ready. Had the chance to integrate you guys, but definitely we need you guys on. You know, at different times to
okay.
serve as expert. You know, because sometimes the question come on that you know, 'cause folks are asking questions from different angles. But because it was
Right.
the first one, and to be honest with you, we were not all sure how it was going to work. You know, but
Amen.
it has taken off, and it's doing well.
Amen.
It's
Praise God.
doing well. So
I saw a link you had sent for was like a prayer meeting on Wednesday for the program.
oh yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Again, it was only the students. It after a while I sent it up. I know that you probably guys had a plan before, but it was a
Yeah.
short prayer meeting just to make sure that we're not going into this by
Yes.
strength, you know.
Amen. Amen.
So everything happens. There is no manual to do this, you know. There's no manual to follow. It's also Holy Spirit with my
Yes.
experience.
Amen.
We're going, and God is working.
Amen.
All right, go ahead, Pastor.
All right, let's pray. Father, we give you thanks for this opportunity to connect as we seek to learn how to be effective in ministry, in the teaching ministry, especially in the online context. Ask, Lord, that your Holy Spirit will guide this meeting and make it productive for your name's honor and glory. Guide your son and servant, Pastor Chambers, as he shares insights and as we prepare not only for this my forthcoming class, but also the the online Bible studies and evangelistic efforts. Continue to guide us and bless our families and loved ones as we minister. Cover us and make us a blessing for your name's honor and glory. We ask with thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you again. One of the reasons I like this method is that I am I only consider myself expert in online,
Mm-hmm.
you know, work. But I'm sure you will have insights that you'll share that can be of help to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer this interaction. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we're discussing online learning, online teaching. It's a new environment. Before COVID, did you ever teach online?
No,
Oh,
the first one was the one I just did for last
last semester,
yeah, the
which would have
Revelation.
been which would have been
I had
half of the
about
semester.
seven students.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
then
okay.
later reduced to five. So
Wow.
now for summer two, I'm looking at about 50 something
Mm.
students. So I need all the help I can get coordinating.
Yes, yes, because you would not have been teaching some of the general ed courses that are online.
Right.
All right, so let's go. Um, so in online learning, what I've found is that the goal is not to see how we can mimic classroom setting. The goal is
Mm,
to see how we can get the students to learn online. So
okay.
we should start by saying, how can I get what I was doing in class to replicate it online. The goal is to see what is my goal for the course. What do I want students to learn, and then how am I going to get that done online? That's the thing. So online learning provides much advantage and disadvantage. Of course, you yourself you can see probably that's one of the advantages, which is accessibility. From anywhere in the world. We talk about convenience, the opportunity to just get up and
log in.
And get to it. Interestingly, I put this there. It's a paradox because it actually, even though it's a disadvantage as well, it actually provides greater opportunity for the students to pay attention for some reason. Because what happened is that in a classroom setting, there are so many more opportunities to look at different things. But when you're online, all you're seeing is what this teacher is presenting. If you're paying attention, that is. If once you're paying attention, all that you're seeing is what the teacher is presenting. So for that teacher, you're not forced to have to get stuff to get the students to pay attention. They are paying attention to what you're presenting. Then we have disadvantages, which is reduced nonverbal communication. That is a big one. Students tend to be less interactive. I find that they tend to ask less questions when you're online. In the classroom, they will interrupt you, a lot. But online, they tend, if you don't put out the effort, you'll go through an online class and they say almost nothing. And if they say stuff, it's very limited. So that's why I find that you actually get through the content faster. I don't see that as an advantage necessarily. That's because the students are less interactive. So you get through the content faster. So greater opportunities for distraction is a paradox in the sense that they can browse the internet. That's why even before I went online, the rule about cell phone, I did not apply that rule. But I told them, fine, you can all have your cell phone in class, but it can only be used for reading the Bible or reading your notes. So
that's for the face-to-face?
Yes, face-to-face. But for the online, again, you don't have any control over that. So that's why I educate them about it. And I believe their adults, are getting there. So I usually try my best to place the responsibility on them and depend on their thing. So they can be distracted. So we're going to get to how we can overcome those. And you talk about challenges with fairness in exams, when you're doing it online without certain technologies, basically an open book exam.
Yeah.
So we have to look at that. So we're going to go to best practices. And again, you can have some things to teach me as well as I'm just sharing what from my experience, what I did for the student. And I've been practicing to do this where I tell them these things. I said, listen, based on the disadvantages that online learning has, what has happened is that most of the responsibility has been transferred to the student. When it was in class, the teacher was forced to have to come up with things to keep their attention and to get them involved and so on. But online, because the nonverbal communication is reduced, then the student have to take responsibility. So in other words, they cannot approach online learning the same way they approach the class learning, where once they're in the class, it's like the teacher has all the responsibility to get them to learn and to, yes, they may have to take notes, but the teacher is the one in charge. In online, they are detached. So they have to be deliberate about putting themselves in that position to learn. The responsibilities. So I tell them that I go through with them. So they have to be on time. right? Because I'm going to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in a class setting, students are taking long to come into their seat and to 5 minutes, 10 minutes is lost. Again, that's one of the reasons why we get through the content online so quickly, because time, there's less opportunity for losing time. So they need to be on time. They need to set an alarm to remind them of their classes. It is possible, because the online classes, you're so detached to even forget that you have a class. When in a classroom situation, you're forced to have to take a shower and to prepare your books and so on. In online, you're at home, and it's easy to forget that you have a class. So you need to have some way of reminding you. These are for the students again, and that you have a class. I don't have this in the list, so I'm going to mention it right here, because it means therefore that you can't, not because online classes is convenient, does it mean you must take up an appointment to run close to the time? Because that's going to put you in a position, for example, let's say you have a class and you're in Kingston, and the internet, you don't have any internet. That puts you in a position where you're going to be a problem with class. Avoid attempting to multitask. My research with mobile device usage tells me that multitasking is impossible. So you tell the students, listen, don't try it. Just don't. It is to your benefit that you just put away the phone. You have the laptop there with you, so don't put away the phone, put away everything else, and focus on the class. Because multitasking puts you at a disadvantage, or they are attempting to do that. Check with your area regularly. Again, you in a real life situation, you have the teachers there on campus, and you can go to his office, or you have students who you interact with, fellow classmates who you interact with regularly, that keeps you in touch. In an online setting, you don't have that. So the area is a place where they keep in touch with the class. So as a teacher, then as I'm going to put it, that's why you have to use Aaron. Because if you don't use Aaron, and I must tell you this, that I've been at class, unfortunately, where the teacher doesn't use Aaron, and if you feel detached from the class, you feel as if until the next time when the class come around, you don't feel connected to the class. Then for the students, do all your assignments. This might seem like it goes without saying, but there are some students who feel that they can skip an assignment and still get through with it with the course and in terms of grade. But I've found that even good students, when they miss assignments, instead of getting an A, they get a B plus. So they need to pay attention, because, for example, as a teacher, I pose discussion questions, and sometimes they may ignore it, and the time is gone, and they lose that grade. So I want to encourage them to say, cover all your ground. Don't leave anything up to chance. Meet with your lecturer in person if you have the chance, or one-on-one. In this case, when I was telling them this, the time I was on campus, and I'm saying to them, even though you don't sit with me in a class, if you see me on campus, connect with me. Come to me and say, sir, I am so-and-so from your online class. And that helps to build that relationship and deepen the connection online. This is for the students. I'm going to keep it at that. Do you want to add anything to the student section? Anything else that you feel the student need to do?
Well, I have questions.
Okay.
I was wondering if I should just wait until the end of the whole presentation, and then I just ask.
No, for the student part, you can ask a question now. But I'm going to move to the teacher now.
Well, I was wondering, maybe you will cover it in the teacher. So let me just hear the teachers, and then we'll.
Okay. All right. So the teacher has to deal with those disadvantages and the challenges for the student. So the teacher needs to be on time and be consistent. Sometimes the blackboard is open 10 minutes before. So I try to be there like 5 minutes before it. And there are a number of reasons to be on time. Number one, to upload the notes to Blackboard, it's good to have it preloaded. And I'll show you how to do that quickly. Rather than using PowerPoint to share your screen, when I just started out, I used to use a PowerPoint, but I've found some disadvantages with that, which I'll share with you in a little while. The second reason for being on time is that what I do is that I'm taking advantage of the online thing where for devotion, I actually use a YouTube video to play a song. So I find a nice Gefa song that's in tune with my devotion. So I start playing that even before the class time begins. So once they come on, stuff is going on. Because if in online world, if nothing is happening, people feel bored and they go after something else. So I play the song and maybe about 3-4 minutes, I start the song, start my devotion and get right into it. So they must have that consistency. So be prepared. And being prepared, it not only include knowing the content, but prepare with PowerPoint slides. Again, I'm gonna just make a note. I need to show you how to preload the slides and also an easy way to get PowerPoint slides done. I don't want to stop to do that now, so just remind me to do that one.
Okay.
Keep up to date with marking your register. I have found, and it was just last semester, I picked this up. I'm still investigating it, but I found that there might be some students who will register for the online class and they don't attend. Or if they attend, they may just turn on the Blackboard and have their names listed in the class, but they don't involve. But they still want the grade. They still want to get through somehow. Maybe they feel that final exam grade along with a few grades here, and they tend to show up when you're having quiz. So it may be, my wife was suggesting, but maybe that they're having another class at the same time and they're trying to multi. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe they have something else in that time and they try to get through the class. The way I picked that up was by keeping up with my register. And once I see a pattern where a student is not coming, especially when the class is big, they try to oh God, that's the paper money makes so much noise up every Sunday morning. Right, so
that's all right.
So keeping up with the register causes you to pick up those who are negligent. Because when I did it, I was surprised and I made contact with the student and I was even more surprised that the student was aware of what they're doing. And they were saying, sir, give me a second time. And I was saying to her, I said, you have failed the course already because you missed so many classes. And especially because it's summer, one day is a week. So you have missed. And they try to, but if I wasn't keeping up with my register, and by the way, for the online, you know that if you don't record the session, recording the session keeps a register for you. So you don't need to have a book. If you want to have a book for your own backup, but once you record the session, it records those who are in the class, and I can show you where to find that information as well. Number 4, look out for those students who are missing classes. That's the same. Yeah, sorry about that. Right, as I said, look out for those students who are missing from class. It's very important. Be deliberate about discussion activity for revision and assessment purposes. well, as a teacher, you would know that the assessment doesn't only mean exams. Assessment means asking questions in the class and getting them. So what I do now is that because I realize that online, the students are less interactive, I have to plan that into the session. So specifically to the summer session, you're going to be running into 2 classes, basically 2 hours. So what I do, I have a break on the hour mark, a 5-minute break. But for each time I resume, I do a 10 to 15-minute review of the previous session and discussion. And a good way now to make sure that no student is trying to show that they are present by simply logging in and going away. I randomly call their names. So when I'm going to ask a review question, I say, John Brown, tell me. And they don't know when I'm going to do that. So I'm deliberate about pointing them out and calling them by name. And I don't call them name and then move on if they don't respond immediately. I wait, and after maybe a few seconds, I say, okay, so John Brown is not in class. And I say, okay, so we're going to ask somebody else. And then later on, I may get an apology to say, sir, I was there, but so and so and so. But I make sure that I'm deliberate about discussion activities. Also, for some discussion activities, I break them out in groups. You know how to break them out in groups?
No, I need to learn that as well.
All right, so that's another one. So that's the third thing I need to demonstrate to you. So I ask deliberate questions for discussions, and I also ask direct questions for individual students for response. The next thing is that, again, as I said, you use a group feature in Blackboard to help with that discussion session. And for exams, here are some tips to help with the accountability. Number one is to shuffle the questions, especially multiple choice and true and false questions. So that prevents any collaboration. So no student can simply mark the correct answer and send it to their colleague. Every student will get a different arrangement of the questions. I know Google Form does this, and I know Class Marker. I don't quite remember if the Ariane does this. It might be possibly, and I think so. I have to double check. The second thing is time limits are important for online exams. They have a tendency to want to give bad connectivity as an excuse for extending time. Now, yes, you want to balance, especially in COVID time here, you want to balance that. But here's what I do. I say to them, listen, if you're having a problem, that needs to be reported to me during the time of the exam. Don't come to me half an hour after and then tell me, sir, I had a problem, if you can extend the time. No, I'm not going to extend the time after the time has expired. I tell them, maybe you have to do a different exam. I know it's hard on you as a teacher because you don't want to have to set 2 exams, but I've come to learn in this school that every exam you set, you have to set 2. So I'm prepared for that. But do not extend the time, and do not. I try sometime to give. I used to give like an hour, half an hour before, half an hour after. I've cut it down. I've said 50 minutes before, 15 minutes after extra time to deal with any matters. But beyond that, no more. Because the timing of doing the question is important, because open book. So if they never knew it before, a long exam time, give them more time to search.
True.
So if they really studied, they would need more than 2 minutes for each multiple choice, or a minute and a half is enough for a multiple choice question.
That's true.
So that is important for exams. Of course, you try to, for multiple choice questions, try to avoid using the same words that are in the notes. Try and word it different from how it's in the notes, even though you're saying the same thing, because that will prevent them from using search. So they can copy the text from the question and just search the document and find it where it is. When you use different words, if they never knew it before, they can't search for it. So they have to study. Then I would encourage you to orient the students on how to use the system. I don't take it for granted that because they are young people, they are tech savvy. I try to do a basic thing where I show them how to access the learning unit, how to access the course outline, how to access the Blackboard, and so on. Just a basic thing when I just start the class, and how to access the recordings of the previous sessions. I show them that. Then I mentioned this earlier, randomly ask students to comment and wait on them to respond. Be patient. Well, when I just start the class, when I come on, my thing was, I said, students, are you hearing me? And they say yes. So once they say yes, then it's a faith word. You have to believe that they're hearing you. and then when you ask a question, don't go ahead because you don't get a response. Still wait. Because I think because online, because usually in a classroom setting, because you're looking at your body language, you feel more free to wait on a response. But because you're not seeing anything, you think that silence means they're not responding. No, silence means that they are thinking about it. So you give them time to respond when you ask questions. As I said, be patient, and I think finally, ensure that they are hearing you. Always check to make sure that the system is working, and that a student might be having a good connection. Those things are important when it comes on to online thing. Then finally, I did say finally, give timely feedback on assignments and sectional, meaning that try and mark their papers almost immediately. The truth, as you know, multiple choice questions are marked by the system. That's a big, my first semester, I marked multiple choice questions. I marked hundreds of multiple choice questions by hand. Online takes care of that. Of course, the essay questions, you have to do them yourself, but at least the system marking the multiple choice question falls really it's a big heavy lift. What it does is that it takes more time to create the multiple choice questions, but in the end, you have less work after the fact. All right. Probably I can take the question now before I go into tools.
Okay. Well, thank you so far. I just wanted to ask if you can send this recording later.
Oh, sure. Sure, and I'm gonna send a PowerPoint as well.
Okay. Some of my major questions were
dealt with.
How to well, you've mentioned the points already. What points do I need to present to students about online learning before I begin? I have that.
Yes.
I have never had a large class online before. So how to manage interacting with them. And I think I got some tips, like asking them questions randomly.
Yes.
The issue of camera, do you ask them to turn their camera on?
No,
Do you turn your camera on?
No, I don't. I tried that, but after a while, I said, some of them, what happened? Some of them are their devices are not so strict. Maybe later on when we know that all students have equal access to different photo resources. But for now, some of them are using their phones. Some of them don't have camera. So at this time, at this stage, I think maybe later on the school should put it in the requirements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we're not charging them general ed fee or going
Yeah.
forward, we may not be charging them general ed fee. The school should put it as a requirement to have a camera and a laptop to be a student later on. But right now, you know, we can't afford it because some of them are just a phone they use. I remember one student was having a problem with his exam and he had to run across to a neighbor to borrow a laptop to finish because his one was having problems. So I try to work with them as best as possible.
Okay. Is it wise to set up an additional platform like Zoom or Google Meet in addition to the Blackboard in case there are network problems and all that? What do you think?
You know, at first I was more leaning towards that, but I've come to appreciate Blackboard.
Okay.
And except for the exam side of it still needs some work. But when it comes on to the class setting, I work with Blackboard because for one, the recording and marking attendance. And it's easier because if you do Zoom, you will have to physically, manually upload the video, right? And then share the link with them for them to have access to the recording. Because not every student attend class every day. So those who miss class are going to be totally out of it because for the most part, uploading can be a tedious task. So I think Blackboard system is excellent. Okay. You know, Zoom is excellent for what it does, but for the classroom setting, I think Blackboard does a pretty good job at it. You know, it's there are very few times when I had to move from Blackboard to maybe like Google Classroom. And if you're moving from Blackboard, I wouldn't recommend Zoom again. I would recommend the Google Meet because it allows for still kept within the NCU email system. You know, so that's you must always say you have to keep remembering to record the session.
Well, I don't remember seeing a recording Google Meet. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was.
It can be done.
Okay.
It can be done, and the good thing about the recording for Google Meet. When I say recording, I was talking about Blackboard. Really, you have to remember each time to record the session. But for Google Meet, they have enabled the feature in because it wasn't enabled before. That's why you probably didn't see it.
Right.
But I'm sure somebody contacted Eunice, and they have now enabled you with the opportunity to record the session. I am in a session. Let's see. Yes, it's there. It's enabled.
Okay. All right. Let me just keep the other questions until they will come up as we continue.
Okay. So quickly, I'm going to do a demo now. So what I'm going to demonstrate is two things. One is a quick way to create PowerPoints, and two, a way to create a PowerPoint in order to create a uniformed PowerPoint. Okay. So let me share my screen again. So let's say I have a Word document. These are my notes. Heading right on our critics, and so on and so forth. I have headings and there. The key thing with PowerPoint is that, as you might notice, PowerPoint uses a basic design for its slides. You have a heading and you have the body. That's it. Right? All of this stuff around here is just design, which I'll show in a bit how to get that done. Okay. So when you have a Word document like this with notes, all that you need to do is to format your Word document how you want it to look in PowerPoint or be organized in PowerPoint. So right now, right away, I want Ellen White and her critics to be like the title slide. So what I do, I format it as heading 1. See it? See this format?
Mm-hmm.
Are you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Heading 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the body content, I think this is going to be the title. So I won't put it. Let me just do that. For this section here, this is the body. So I put it as heading 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I go through the document and I format the others like that. So those that are going to be heading, I put heading 1, and those that are body, I put as heading 2.
Okay.
And if I don't have a header, I just format the space as heading 1, and the body heading 2. I think this, yeah, heading 1, heading 2. I just have a few more pages, so I'm just going to go through the entire thing. I'm going to copy this heading to over here because I want it to be repeated. And heading 2, plagiarism, heading 1, heading 2, heading 2, heading 1, heading 2. This is a heading, so I use quotations as the body. I may have to break it down later on in the PowerPoint, but don't find, but when I get it over. So what I do, I save this file as a Word document, and I have it, and I know what I take note of the name of the document, and I close it, and then I go to PowerPoint. Whether you own a blank PowerPoint or not, it doesn't matter. Just go into PowerPoint, click File, and click Open. You're actually going to open that Word document, right?
Okay.
And then you find where it is. But you won't find it unless you change the file type to all files, because it's a Word document and not a PowerPoint as yet. So here it is. It's a Word document, but I'm going to open it in PowerPoint. But I've already formatted it to match my PowerPoint. So when I format, I open, if you notice,
wow,
it's done.
wow.
I'm done. The only thing I'm going to do now, is to format it as though I have it in this other one. Now,
Okay.
how do I do that? How do I format it? I go to view, then slide master, and I choose one of these slides to format. This is the one that I use most often, so I'm going to format this one. So let's say I want the logo, the NCU logo. I think I may have that somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember where I have it. Honestly, let me see if I have it. You see, no, that's SRT logo. But let me use the SRT logo because I already have. Let me see graphics. Yeah, MCU logo is here. Yeah, so maybe I put it down here. I don't want a name, so I just crop and take this out. So then I put a text on the bottom, which is School of Religion. Where do I insert text on home? Insert. Text box. So I want Northern Caribbean University. You put anything you want, School of Religion and Theology. And then I put the name of the class, so it's RELT prophetic studies. And I don't remember the name. What was the format again? The font. Let me try Times New Roman. I don't think that's a font, but I'm just trying to explain. So then I also format here. Well, I think let me check what the font is. I think it's Garamond I use. Garamond and Garamond. Yeah. Let me change it to that. It have a nice professional look. Right, so I format these texts too as Garamond. The heading one is bold and this one remains normal. Garamond. I increase it, right? So I want all my regular size to look like that. And then for the template for the title page, I may put MCU like that, and I have the title as Garamond and it's bold, and the second page is change to Garamond a little bigger. And that's it. When I close SideMaster, all I need to do is to block all my slides, and I'm going to format it as this one. It's available to me, and I reset. And if you notice, all the slides take up that format.
Yeah.
I can create my title slide like that, and the title is always, and I'm going to put RELT, prophetic studies. You put your whatever you. This is summer 2020, blah blah blah, and then you put Dr. Michael. Michael. Whatever you put there. I think mine is formatted a little different. Let me see how it's formatted. Oh, it's formatted the same way. I put a line. This is a line I inserted here. Let me. And then, for example, I can format heading. These I didn't get to do this. The section headings. Sometimes I do that. But let me show you an easier way I could have done this. When I create one, for example, what I can do is that the one that I've done before, which is this, I go to the SideMaster and I actually go to the header and copy this. I copy this and I close, and I go to my next PowerPoint, the new one, and I go to Slide Master and I paste. Right? And I close. So it actually takes up the formatting of the old one. So let me reset all of these to take on the new formatting here. Yeah. Right. So consistently as I create slides, that's what, and then I save the slide. I save it as a slide, and that's it. Then now let me get to uploading this slide now to your thing. The best approach is to convert this to a PDF rather than using the PowerPoint, because especially if you don't have dual monitor, it's difficult to work with the PowerPoint. So you convert it by going File, Export, Create PDF. And let me put it to the desktop so I can remember where I found it, where I have it. And it's converted, right? And then when I go to Blackboard now, I lock the session room. Let me open the course room so I can use it as to join the room, course room.
By the way, I need you to take me through how you created the recurring sessions again.
Oh, okay, no problem. So when I share content, rather than sharing my screen, I share files. So I upload that PowerPoint that I just created. Here it is. And the advantage with this now is that Blackboard immediately figured that you're creating a slide. So it already can have your slides ready. So you can easily click on any one of them to bring it up. Normally, if you had a PowerPoint, you would have to be, controlling the PowerPoint and, Also to navigate, so let's say, for example, you're chatting with a student. It's always difficult to get back into the file. So you can navigate by using here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That's what the PDF allow you to do. The next advantage with the PDF is that, let's say, like for me, there was a time when I was at school, I may be on the road because sometimes when I leave school to try and catch home before that online class starts, I may be on the road. If I had uploaded my notes already, right, I could go on my tablet and the slides are there in the system. So, but if I was depending on the PowerPoint to open it on the computer, I would have had to have a laptop open. But it's because the file is there on the system, I can easily go in and start presenting from anywhere that I'm at. So that's the advantage of uploading using the PDF. The disadvantage is that it does not allow for animation. So for example, let's say you have 3 points. It won't allow you to bring up point 1 first and then point 2 and point 3. It all comes up at once. But I mean, that's why I would have divided each of these into a different slide.
Okay.
To create the anticipation and so on. So since I'm in Blackboard now, let me show you how to do the breakout groups. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get you in. How do I should be able to get you. Oh, yeah, here it is. Guest access. I can save the session to get it. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I can give you this for you to come in the room.
All right.
Right. So I'm going to send you a link in WhatsApp. Oh, you didn't copy. Yes, copy. Really? Not copying? Oh, here it is.
Okay. Got it.
You got it. Okay, so you can come in into the room. Coming in?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes, so you're there. Okay. All right, so are you still seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
right? So to create breakout groups, you go to share and then breakout groups.
Okay.
All right. Um, it normally does it random for you. Um, let me see. Let me see, assign groups. Up here, if on a normal basis, I'm not sure because it's only 2 members we have, but normally you should be able to click up here and say do it randomly.
Okay.
And it will randomly create add the persons to different groups. And by default, it creates 2 groups.
Okay.
But you can create more group by clicking here. So you can create a 3rd group and a 4th one and so on.
Okay.
And then if you have to manually move the people, you simply do this. I'm in group 1 and you are in group 2.
Okay.
But it won't apply until you click start.
Okay.
So I normally give all my instructions before I click start. So I also sometimes, when it's a big class, rather than me, let's say I did the group assignments before, because sometimes I may want specific people to be in specific groups.
Hmm.
And by the way, that's something, let me say, random list. I use that thing online. Let me see. When I have a big class and I want to randomly place them in groups, I put their names on a sheet of on a Word document and copy the list and say randomize list. Yeah. Is it this? Oh yes, here. So if I have a list of names and paste it here and I click randomize, it automatically randomizes the names and I can just simply copy 5 at a time and paste it. So that way, it's called a random.org/list. It automatically create random lists for me. Anyhow, back to this. So if let's say I did that before and I show them which group they are in, rather than me having to move 50 people one at a time into different groups, I allow them to switch groups. I say allow attendees so they can choose which group they want to go into.
Okay.
And then I create the groups and click start. So they know based upon which group they are in, they move into their group.
Okay.
That's the way to work with a large group. But this puts them in different groups and sometimes, oh yes. And when I click start, it's breaking out. And if you notice now, you are in group 2, I'm in group 1.
Yeah.
And you notice that you're only seeing yourself in your group.
Yeah.
I'm seeing here because I'm the teacher. I'm the facilitator. That's why I'm seeing everybody. But you're probably only seeing yourself in your group. And you click here to close the breakout group. You click here, right?
Mm.
And you can go to any group by clicking. For example, I can go to group 2, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing that you are in the group, and so on. I can make you a moderator because for that group, you as a moderator now you can do presentations and you can present the screen and all of that in that group. So that's for group in Blackboard. Let me see what was the other thing that I was supposed to demonstrate. The register, right? So when you have finished a class and you're going to mark the register, you can't you won't be able to do it immediately because the classes don't usually the recording don't usually upload at the same time. It takes a while before it registers. So let me see here. Leave session. I'm gonna leave. you can leave that session. So I'm gonna show you how to access the recording. So I have already, these are classes that I've done already. So let me close by the close room. So I click on here, because it's not the course room you're gonna use to teach. You're gonna use a session that you would have created, right? You click on here and say view reports.
Okay.
And then you notice you'll see the reports. So on different days you have 20 persons. You have 21 here. You can click view report for any day you're marketing register. So let's say you're marketing for the 2nd of June. You say view report, and then don't export CSV.
Okay.
Right? It gives you an Excel sheet, and it gives you all who attend that class. Right?
Wow.
And what else it gives you is that it gives you the total time that they join. So if a student only come on for 10 minutes, you know, I would be concerned about that. I could mark her present, you know. And you can see how many joins they had for this session. What I do, this is just a method. I could copy the list. I normally, for ease of marking the register, I normally sort the list. And this is something I didn't figure out until after. I sort the list by the name, in alphabetical order. So it's easier to see when I'm looking at the names in the register. It's easier to pick up if somebody is missing. So I normally mark everybody as either absent or present first, and then I change their status based on whether or not they are in the list. So rather than having to go to each person and mark them present, I think I mark everybody present, and then if somebody is missing from the list, I mark them absent. It's time saving time. So that's accessing the report. Let me see. You said about creating the session. So it seems I'm in Blackboard. Let me just go back to creating sessions. Not sure if this will allow me. Okay, yes. So I let me say this is, let me call it prophetic studies test. Then I put the date, start date. Usually that's going to be the first day in the semester, first class in the semester. So let's say the first class in second summer session is the 29th. And then I'm going to put the end. No. Oh yes, that the end, the start time is going to be, let's say, 3:30 session, right? And the class is going to end at 5. Right? And so that's for one session. And then I'm going to do repeat. So I'm creating the first session as a sample, and I'm going to repeat it. And it's repeated weekly, yes. And every week, it doesn't skip any week. And it's repeated on Mondays and on Wednesday. And I'm going to say, okay, how many occurrences? So for the summer, it's going to be probably, it's going to be every day per week. So it's going to be 4 times. So let's say this summer, it will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, right? And it's going to be 4 times per week, for 4 weeks. So probably that's going to be, how many sessions that would be? 40. If no, 4 is 20. Let's say 20 sessions. And you could say you want to start 15 minutes before or half an hour before, depending, up to you. And then you create. And once you create, I'm not going to create it. Once you create, you're going to see these sessions. I think this one, it only have one left. So I was on target with creating a number of sessions. If you created too few sessions, you can go and create more. You know, it's not that stringent. So I only have one left. But you would have seen if it was 20, you'd have seen all 20 listed there. And when you come online, you're gonna see the one open that is the current one. To access the recordings, the student should go here, click on that menu and go recordings.
Okay.
And then they see this one and they click watch now. And this should bring up the video recording of that teaching session.
Okay.
So you can start and right, and it goes right through. All right. I think I've covered what I wanted to do in terms of demo at that stage. So let me close that, and I'm going to continue pick up back with tools. Oh, I did one of the two already. One of the tool was the PowerPoint templating. The other tool was the Google quiz. Have you ever created a quiz in Google? Or
Yes, I watched online and I tried it once.
Very good. And you got through.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if the student got through because.
Oh, so you haven't used it as yet?
I used it to give a makeup test.
Yes.
Because this student had network problems, connection problems. Yes. So I gave her a separate test on the Google quiz, yeah. Okay, so that's the only experience I've had with that. But it was nice. It's nice.
Okay, and marking and stuff like that, and one of the things about it is that when you do, let me use a already set quiz. So this one I had done already. So when you are, you can turn on and off response. So when in terms of timing the quiz, you have to manually turn off the quiz.
Okay.
All right. So if you have a time limit, this is where you tell, and that's why I normally give the half an hour, the 50 minutes before and after, because I said to them, sometimes if I lock off while you're doing the quiz, you may lose your work. I'm not sure. So I say to them, once the time expires, you need to mentally know that at any time between that and 50 minutes after, I can close. So do not go over time. That's where you close. Then I guess you'd have known how to do the setting the answer and the points.
Yeah.
Right? And when I'm setting up, I do not release a grade immediately after. All right? Okay. Because if I have students who are going to do the quiz maybe later or they're going to do a makeup, I want to have control over when the thing is released.
All right.
So I don't release it until everybody would have done the quiz. So I say after manual review. And then respondents can see correct answers. I uncheck that. So they can't see the correct answers until I release their paper.
Right.
All right. They can see missed questions and points value, but they can't see correct answer. That's important. And then you don't want to restrict it to NCU because the NCU students, their email domain is different from yours. But apart from that, otherwise, you're good to go. Let me set a random question. Let me see. Where did I do the randomized questions? Edit official, submit presentation. Oh, shuffle question order. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So if I shuffle the question order, every student is going to see the questions in different. And that's why I do sections, because the shuffling is going to take place within the section.
Section. Mm.
Right. Now, the trick though is that if you have a section where you do essay and you ask them to answer question one, that's not a good idea if you're shuffling the questions.
Yeah.
So I ask them to answer any two.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what order it comes in, they need to
Mm.
answer any two. Any two.
Okay.
That's a trick that I have to keep in mind. And then when you're releasing the question, now when you're marking, you go to responses and go to individual. And after you mark, then you say release score.
Mm.
And you can put a message and then release, and it will go directly to that person's email.
Okay. So when you give a sectional test, you do it with the Google quiz.
I find it much easier to work with. Sometimes I try the ARN system, and when I do it, it gives some problems.
Okay.
Maybe for the final exam, um, I use Blackboard. I use the system because of the whole matter of what do you call it, the finance.
Right.
We can lock the access to the final exam.
Mm-hmm.
But for sectionals, I find Google to be much easier to work with.
Okay.
Where that is concerned.
Okay. Well,
Because in the yeah, because in the
I've
end,
given
yeah, go ahead.
sectionals on Aerion, and it's
Aaron,
also
yes.
very simple.
Yes, what I find, it appears that if it's a lot of them doing it,
Mm.
it gives problem. Oh,
Okay.
here is why I like Google. Now I remember why I like Google. When you're doing multiple choice questions, let me create a new one rather than messing up. Um, so let's say I have a multiple choice question. Let me bring a Word document. Um, it should be an old exam, so it doesn't matter. So let's say I have, so you're seeing the Word document. So I have this question. I normally turn off the numbering because I don't want the numbering to come in. And I paste this question. When I'm going to do this question, rather than copying one at a time, Google allows me to do this.
Oh.
So I paste all four of them at the same time.
Okay.
So I don't have to be going one at a time and selecting. That, I think that's I think that's why the main reason I like Google. Because
Okay.
I mean the other one, you know, it's not like it's a big difference still, but um, to create an exam, I can do it in record time.
Mm.
Using Google. Um,
All right. All right. Let me see if what questions I have. Concerning the discussion activities, how do you go about doing that? Um, do you post one question that will be discussed throughout, or while the students are answering, you're also free to post another question to clarify? Is it that sort of interactive, or do you just post one question and wait for the students to respond to it, or can you interfere and keep asking? I am not hearing.
I'm
I'm
saying
not sure.
excellent point to raise.
Mhm.
You hear me now, right?
Yes, I can hear.
Right. Sorry, I muted myself. Right. So
Okay.
excellent point, because I had planned to raise the point as an important teaching tool for online learning, discussion questions. All right. Now, discussion questions, I use them in place of a full research question full research paper.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've found is that when you give research papers, for the gen ed students, I don't give research papers generally. But
Okay.
for the religion major, I give research papers.
Yes.
So for the gen ed students, I use discussion question to replace the full research. I use like 3 or maximum 4 of them to research to cover. Because what I find with the research question is that when I give a full research, people tend to leave it for last minute. And that compromises the quality of the paper. So the discussion questions forces them to do research continually throughout the semester.
Okay.
And so to answer your question, I pose one question. I don't ask any question after that. I allow them to finish that. And then I move on to another question. The interactivity now is where I force them. I say, listen, you must respond to at least two of your colleagues' posts.
Okay.
So that's where the discussion comes in, because they have to come in, they have to read their classmates' posts and they have to respond. And substantively, that is, I say, for the response, it has to be at least 100 words.
Okay.
You can't just say, yes, I agree with you. No, you must disagree or agree based on these points and based on what you have read, right? So for the initial post now, let me share my screen. Let me give an example of.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if you could show me an example,
Right. So this is one. This was a long question because I give the instructions in the question. Let me see. How can I get to the? Oh, yeah. No. Oh, view responses. Yeah. Right. So this is what I do. So this is the question. No, let me use number 1. I think I prefer number 1 as a better example of a good. It's not easy to create discussion question, by the way. It's not. It's something I've learned over time. So this one, it says, when God created the world, everything was perfect. He gave Adam and Eve dominion over all his creation. Despite this, so what I found is that a discussion question, you need to give them information. So you can't just ask them, what is so-and-so, and that's it, because that's going to open the door too wide. So you want to narrow their thinking to a point by giving them information first and then ask a question. So I said, despite this perfect beginning, Adam and Eve disobeyed God's word. They sinned against him. Sin was brought in untold devastation to the world, sickness, disease, and so on. Do you believe it was possible for Adam and Eve not to sin? What more could God have done to prevent them from sinning? Discuss your answer. So it's an open-ended question. They must read. The resource I had was the Patriarchs and Prophet, the first 2 chapters. They had to read that.
Okay.
Before now, I used to ask them to summarize the chapter, but I realized that when you ask them to summarize, that's sometimes some of them don't do a good job at summarizing. And so this question forced them to read and to research. Then the instructions to prepare this discussion, review, read. So I'm telling them what they need to do. So I'm not leaving it to them to just do randomly. I'm telling them you need to read the resource in the learning unit, read the lecture notes, read the discussion question posted by instructor, and ensure that you understand the question. Then do further reading if necessary. Then to complete the discussion, create an initial post addressing the following: the creation of the world, God's warning, the temptation, and so on, and the consequence and impact of sin. Your thoughts on the question. So one of the things is that I find that some of them will even go and cover all of this topic and they don't respond to the question. So I said, no, you need to respond to the question. And then the whole matter of they need to respond to their classmates' posts. one of the things I've added to my discussion requirement is that I've asked them to upload a copy of their initial post to the system. So I create a separate assignment to allow them to upload it. The reason for this is to get Turnitin feedback. Because when they post it on the discussion board, Turnitin, it does not pass through Turnitin. So when I do the discussion, when I do the written assignment, where I ask them to say, listen, not only should you post it on the discussion forum, but you need to upload a copy of it in a Word document. Because I want them to do reference, because referencing is an important part of the discussion. Because it's a research. It's a research. You know, even though it might seem, I think I limited to 350 words to 500 words, but it must demonstrate research. It must demonstrate that you read. This is a good one. The young lady, she did a good, it's a gentleman, and had a reference, and had their inline references. And I tell them that they must do inline referencing, and they must have a reference list. So it's not social media posts. They must research and respond to the question and show evidence of that research. So when I do now like 4 of that for the semester, in a summer session, you may probably only get to do 2 or 3. Then I am confident that they have done research, rather than if I do if for research, for a full research paper, maybe they will wait till last minute and then try to find something, you know, to come up with.
Okay.
So it helps, and trust me, they learn. It's an important assessment tool for online learning. I did it when I attended Liverpool. That was one of their main assessment tool, and trust me, you have to read. You have to read, and it forces you to use your own words and to take notes and stuff like that. But generating a question is always a challenge. That's a difficult part. You know, but you want to generate a question that will force them to have to get into the material that you want them to read.
Right. Okay. All right. My view of the discussion was a little different.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like posting practical question, like reactions to
Yes.
to a
Okay.
question, as opposed to, you know, them but like, of course they
Researching.
have to read. Yes, they have to read, but not posting it the way you just showed, you know, the academic with sources, that kind of thing.
Right. But what happened, you see, and I agree with you. That's how I used to think. But the thing about school and students is that students don't necessarily like school. So yes, on social media, they may have heated discussion on a topic and they will participate. But when you're in a class setting, of course, let me say this. Of course, there might be space for that type of interaction. Let me agree with that. But the truth is, if there are no accountability, some of them won't participate. And if you do not have certain guidelines, some of them will participate more and some participate less. So that's the problem with if you really want to be graded. What I do sometimes is that I may create an initial post where I ask them to introduce themselves to the class. And even then, you have to try and coerce them to do it. Some of them won't participate because some of them don't look at the system. So when you make it free like that, you take it for granted that some of them want to participate, but they won't, and unless you have some form of accountability, they probably won't. But I understand what you're saying. It's possible, and of course, you can drop in if the topic is exciting enough, you can drop it in. It does that some of those topics you probably won't be able to get a good hefty grade out of it, but at least it creates interactivity. Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. But because my discussion questions are usually a major part of the grade, I have to make it this thing.
Okay.
One other requirement that I'm going to put into it, which again I learned from Liverpool, is that all their posts must not be on the same day. So it's not the same day that you post your initial post. You should react to somebody's post. In other words, that will avoid them waiting until last minute and then after last minute they just dump everything because I've found where when the class is small, for example, some of them don't get to interact because most of the guys wait till last minute. So when that early student go there, they can't find anything to comment on. So one of the things that Liverpool did was to ask you to say, you must post on 3 different days.
Okay.
So that forces you to have to be early with your initial post, and then you have opportunity to interact with the others.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm learning. I'm really learning. Oh, I say I have to learn.
we are learning. We are learning.
Yeah.
We are learning.
So I noticed that you assigned 30 marks to one of the discussions.
One discussion.
So how many discussions do you like have in all? 2 or 3?
As I said, for a semester, 3. 3. For the religion majors, I think I did 4. But regularly like 3. If let's say like this summer, I had said 3, but in the end I replaced 1 with an assignment. So rather than a discussion, I let them do it an assignment on their own.
Okay.
But those are different cases. And for how I mark them now is that I probably like designate their response can be between 3 to 5 marks. So if a person miss the response to their classmates, they're going to automatically lose 5 marks.
Okay.
And so on. And the marking include the referencing, the logics, the response, the evidence of research, and original thinking must be there.
Okay. What else do I have here? I think that was the major thing. The resources for the assignments and for the discussion, they have to search for it, or you provided some. You did you point them to certain places where they could find?
Yes, in the case of the gen ed students, I point them. The resources are normally listed in the course outline, or if there's a major resource, I normally upload it to the system. The good thing about online is that you have access to PDF books and so on.
Yeah.
But yes, I normally point them to 2 or 3 or 4 resources. Sometimes they move out of the box. Sometimes, but I try to narrow, because they're not theologians, so I try to narrow it down to some resources.
Okay. I'm not very good at PowerPoint. I was just looking at what you did there, and I just know basic PowerPoint. I usually use my PDF notes.
Yes.
I upload my PDF notes.
One second. Friends, let me call you back in a few minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I usually share my PDF notes, or if it's an article in PDF form. I don't know if that is okay too.
One second. You say you usually do what?
I share my PDF notes as
Oh,
opposed to, yeah, as opposed to
okay,
PowerPoint. Yeah.
okay.
So
How does it look on the screen? Is it
yeah, it's
only?
similar. It's
Okay,
similar to what you just showed, you know, and
okay.
I can mark on it and stuff. I can
Yes, yes,
circle
yes,
the
yes.
point and stuff like that. So
Yes, fair enough. Fair enough. Once I can see it, you know, um, because again, PDF. But how about though? Does PDF break it? Does the Blackboard break down your notes into different slides, or you have to just be scrolling through this long
I
document?
scroll through it mainly and then
Right, right,
underline and stuff.
right. So you notice that once a PowerPoint, Blackboard break it down into the different
Yeah, yeah.
slides. But that skill of converting to PowerPoint is something that I use not only in teaching, but in preparing my sermons.
Okay.
It was very, very handy. I remember the first time I prepared sermon PowerPoint. It took me 3 to 4 hours to
Mm.
prepare one sermon, and I said, no, there's no way I can have 3 to 4 hours preparing a PowerPoint when you have so much things to do. So
Yes.
so this method I've been with over the years
Okay.
of being able to easily create a PowerPoint.
That's good. All right, Pastor. I think that's all
That
for
is it.
now. If I have any other
Um,
issues, I'll let you
yeah,
know.
man, and thank you, and we can